Hi everybody, this is Leanna. I have a book to share with you today. This particular book I made is called See Me. I made it out of a Reader's Digest book that I repurposed. It's 5.5 by 7.5. I've painted the actual cover of the book, but then I've layered and collaged on top of it. And over that I've put on a fabric spine. So there's my book. I tied it on with just a muslin type piece of fabric, just something that looks simple. I've used throughout the book Tim Holtz things. The book was born out of my realization that life gets so busy and that we can be so aware of our own needs and wants and hurts that sometimes we're not really seeing the people that are around us, the people that maybe we're passing by, or maybe the people that we're just that we're directly by and that are in our family. So that's what this book is about. It's about seeing. So see me. So on the first page, I've got a pocket right here. It's a translucent pocket, and I put these tickets in there. So what the tickets do, they remind me of a sense of belonging, and it's a unifying thing. It's a together type thing. And so I've woven tickets throughout the book. So on the first page here, I have the world. Am I saying the people in my little world? So it's a darling little girl, and I thought she just looked quite appropriate right there. So I made a little, I don't know if this has a certain name, it's just like a fabric ruffled edge made out of my paper. And I've stenciled here along the coffee stain paper. On this page right here, I've used Tim Holtz cutout, and the gal reminds me of a mother and her son holding his hand, walking along in life, and it's hard being a mama. And so on this page I want to journal about, what are the things that I can do to just invest in the lives of mothers in my life. So here's a little piece of just standard paper that I can do that on. I've got a nice little deli-like piece of paper there. This is a check. Maybe I can, take them out for lunch, relieve them a little bit. Here's just a little piece of ephemera. This I made to extend the height of the pocket, but actually it works great to also write on. And then I've got a little envelope here, a little pocket envelope that I ripped apart to make it shorter, turned it into a little pocket area that I can write. So I've got the tickets. On this page right here, I've got a darling little girl to remind me of the little children in my life. Am I seeing them, and what can I do just to love on them a little bit more? Here's a piece of paper that I have made a little trifold out of, and then I have a school piece of paper I can write on, and then I can also write on this. And I don't know if you can see this. This is one of my new paper that I've been, is that picking up? It's kind of a funky look of that I've been dyeing, coffee dyeing paper. So I put this sweet little girl on a doily. I made a collage heart here. And then I have a little opening spot. I just ripped a little banner piece to put there. I have a postcard. And then another little piece of ephemera. I probably got it at Tuesday morning. It's a great place. So out of this page also I made a little pocket. I put the two pages together. Just a simple little pull out. I've stenciled on it to add a little bit of interest. I've placed the tickets along the top of it to create a smooth edge to pull this in and out of. Once again, I've got one of the little ruffly paper edges. On this page here, I put these darling little girls here. What reminded me of, and maybe some of you have heard of it, there's some places in Africa where some of these poor girls, once their periods start, they can't go to school because they don't have feminine protection. And so there's organizations where they organize so people can make them out of like flannel and stuff. They can make feminine protection for these gals so they can actually then go to school. So I've purchased some fabric, and I want to be making those, and I think what I'll do is I'll write the address there so I won't forget, and so that can be a regular thing that I can see these people, not just hear about them, but see them and take action to invest in their lives. So here's some other darling little kids there. So this reminded me of, I have a neighbor that does fostering. She does foster kids. And so I need to be seeing that. I need to be investing in them and in their lives, and then in the mama's life that's taking care of them. So this one says blessing. I don't know if that's picking up. And then here's an envelope. And it has a little stamp with the guy on it. I don't know why. It's not a prison, but he reminded me of someone in prison, maybe because of how he's framed in. And so often people that are in prison are just kind of considered throwaway people. They're just forgotten. And really, there's a lot of people that have worked really hard and changed their lives. And so it's important that we see them and invest in them. So that's a reminder for that. So I have these little peoples here, and they remind me of my family and my sisters. So this is remind me to see my sisters and to love on my sisters. I have a little sticker here that says 10 things that I love about you. So I need to tell them. I need to let them know the things that I think are just awesome about them, and just really invest in these people that are so important to me. So I've got various little tucks put in. I'm getting off camera there. Things that I can write on. I can also write right on this page. And then incorporated within all of that, of course, is like there's a piece of the ticket down there. And then I've got more tickets ripped along here. This edge I just made with the hole punch from one of the pieces of the book pages that I've gutted. On this page here, what I've done, I've put a piece of this little deli paper there because it just adds such a fun piece of little surprise there. So this little girl here is a sweet, sweet gal in a darling little dress, and she actually reminded me of a picture that I have of my mother. So this is a page that I'm going to use to journal about my mom, the things, how can I invest in my mom and make sure I'm actually seeing the things that are going on in her life? Because in order to love on someone, you have to actually really be seeing them. So that's what all of this is for. This is a little postcard stamp. I did it on the envelope actually, so it can open up just a little bit more. And then this is another piece of ephemera that I did a little stenciling on. And then my coffee dyed paper. As I turn the page, we see a sweet gal here. So this gal reminds me of... I don't know about you guys, but you get to a certain age and you start tearing everything about yourself apart and start doubting yourself. So this is a reminder for me to see people and to watch where, are you struggling? Are you thinking that you're ugly, that you don't measure up to other people around you? Because, man, those thoughts are destructive and hard. So that's what this is for me to notice and take note. So I put a piece of dictionary page there, and I purposely did it upside down because I didn't want it to be about the actual words, but just more about what the look that it created. And the belly band here that I used to slip it under, I put a piece of Braille paper there. I just love the feel and the look and the texture, and it just creates such a, just a strong feel for me. Here's another little tuck card right there. Love it. Over here I've got a variety of different things. I've got a little envelope, a couple little stamps, paper in there, things I can tuck in more about. Here's another little one. This is a little envelope, and then I made a band there that I could put more on top of it, and then I've got a tuck inside there. And just paper. Okay. And then I wanted to really still create kind of grungy, natural, earthy feel to it. And so I took a piece of cardboard, ripped it up a little bit and placed it there. And here's a vintage button. So on the next page, oops, this is supposed to have a bow there. So on this page here, you'll see the three little peeps. And they remind me of my kids. I actually have 3 kids. I have 1 daughter and 2 sons. And so life can be busy, and I want to make sure that I'm actually seeing them, and I'm investing in them, and I'm listening to them. So I want to journal on these pages things to just help me to remember to do that. So the bow that was supposed to be tied, here it is. This is a pretty little die that I've got, and I put Rick Rick on it. And you open it up, and it says right over here, it says time flies. And then I have a cuckoo clock stamp that I put there, cuckoo. and then I can write notes there. And this is a fun paper that has little birds on it. I just loved how it all went together. So, and then my next page, I've got this sweet little girl. She's strong, she's fierce, she's mighty. But the one thing about her is that she's longing for a mate, and she doesn't have a mate yet. And I have friends like that in my life, and it can be very difficult. It can be a heart-wrenching thing. So this is a reminder for me to be loving on those people in my life that maybe that's their story. So this is a little card of hopefully man in their future, person in their future. Here's a darling little envelope that I can put whatever notes I want in there, whatever thoughts, and I've included a ticket at the top there. And on this little pull tab, I've also included a ticket, and then I put some other layering there. I put a piece of a ripped up part of a book, and then I put a little piece of the ribbon there. So, and then I can write on the back. I've also got, what's it, gauze type stuff behind there. Okay. So on this page, so I've got a variety going on here. I've got pieces of ephemera that I can write little notes on. Great page here. And it says, do small things with great love. And so this page here reminded me of that there's so many people in our world that you've got the papa or whatever where they're broken families, and so we've got this little girl just kind of feeling forgotten and lost. And so that's just to remind me to keep my eyes open and invest in such lives. So, turn another page. Here's another one of these little deli pages that I just love. Just creates a little bit of mystery. I've got tickets along the edge right here. I can write along this page. And then on this below, you see these great kids here. These two boys. They remind me of some just rowdy boys that are loving life and they play hard. And that's actually what this says right here. It says play hard. But they try to be good. They try to be decent. They try to be everything that, you know, someone might be saying they need to be, but they need to be boys. They need to be themselves, and they need to be valued for who they are. Are they ADD kids that are, you know, coloring outside the lines? Well, see them, see their value, see who they are. So this I made out of washi tape, a little flip up, a little dog. Love that dog. Ripped up some pieces here just to add some little textures and colors and movement around the page. And then I can journal here. It's like, you know, be aware, be aware. So here's a fun little page. I have a piece of music that I've coffee dyed. Fun gal, loving life, happy and everything. See her, love her, encourage her. So I've got a ticket tuck underneath here. I've got the feathers along this side. I thought they were kind of a dramatic little thing for a dramatic little girl. So then I've got ripped up pieces of ticket up here and over here as well. Just bringing that theme throughout of it. Just that thread of unifying. So on this page right here, I've got a couple sweet ladies. And I don't know, who are the ladies? You know, maybe they're just my friends. Maybe it's other ladies I see along the way. Maybe it's some widowed ladies that have lost their husbands. I have some friends like that. So on this page, I can go ahead and fill it out. Things that I can do. Throw some parties. Have some fun. Go out to the movies. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But on the day when I get here, I'll know what that's supposed to be. And I'll write on it. So on this journal page, what I was inspired by was just the thought that money and bills are so defining of some of our lives. And so you'll see an abundance of receipts here, bills here, and this sweet little kid here is covered up by all of it. It says never forget, love. So the never forget is like never forget. I mean, there's people that are just being swallowed up by their financial situation. And so see that, be aware of that, you know, invest in that. Here's a little, by the way, that's a little milk top. And so I put a little G&H green stamp there. And then guest tickets that I can write on. And receipts. On this side, this is a little ledger piece of paper. That's a die cut that I use. It's a Tim Holtz die cut, I believe. And this cute little kid sitting there. And then you'll see the variety of receipts there just piled up. Piled up. On the back of the receipts, I did a little bit of stenciling just to create a little more interest. And that handsome man there is actually my grandpa. So his story kind of works within this story because he was only like 17 years old when he came over by himself on a ship, actually a ship much like the Titanic. And he was a poor kid. He maybe had the most $50 on him. I don't know. I think it was less. So he came over at a time where it would have been good to still have a father figure in his life, and he just had to make it on his own. And so he did. He came over into New York. He was a grave digger, and so he used to just pray that someone would die so that he'd have some work. On the bottom of his page, I've ripped up a piece of the Braille because it just reminds me of people in needs with disability, and I'll tell you why that's important. Because he would later meet my grandmother and have kids. So if you see this little kid here, it's this one from the other side. He's grown up. And they had children. And one of their children that they had, his name was Holtz. And when he was little, he got sick. And as a result of that illness, he was deaf. And so at that period of time, and so you'll see the little hand signal here. What they had to do, my grandfather had to have enough money to send him off to a boarding school for deaf kids. And so he had actually become a bootlegger and it was making a fair amount of money, but all that money ended up investing into his son so his son could go off to school and learn how to survive within his world being deaf. So on these next few pages, it just reminds me of little boys become men and how they survive within it. You know, how they view their world is then how they're going to be living. So sometimes they are very stable then, you know. So this one reminds me of just maybe being stable and going about your life and seeing them, little pieces, and applauding them, encouraging them. Some guys might grow up and then they end up focusing just on money and fast things, and that's what this kind of reminded me of. I have got some different tags here, like a car and Chicago. And here's a quote that I found. It says, "The best gift a father can give to his son is the gift of himself, is time." So those are those pieces, just to see and love people wherever they are in their life. So this page here, when I saw these women, it reminded me of the women that just hold their families together. So not necessarily as a mom, but just in every aspect of whatever's going on in their family. I mean, they are mighty women. And so this was kind of to be reminiscent of a clothesline, hanging things up on the clothesline. So this is a vintage piece of curtains, actually, that I cut that from a piece of lace, and this is a vintage hand-stitched piece. It was like a napkin or something, I think. And then over here I have a vintage recipe that I tucked in. The coupons. This is a reproduction of a needle, I believe. Yeah. And then I have a little pocket behind here. I have a piece of the napkin, that's the hand stitch. And this is actually a picture then of my grandmother. And once again, the Braille on the bottom. My uncle wasn't blind, but he was deaf. And so it just kind of gives to that feeling of the disabilities and the extra effort that it takes. So it says never give up. So love on these women. So this one here, when I saw this couple and started putting the page together, it reminded me of people that are investing in the lives of others, like maybe as missionaries or whatever. But people that just go out of their way to invest in others at their own loss, if you will, of income or of time. I have friends that are in Africa, and that's why here's a little page of Africa. So I have some little tucks that I can write on in there. Here's a little ticket that I made with a stamp, and that's a Tim Holtz stamp that they use just to give it a fun vintage feel. And when you turn the page, here's a vintage postcard, and then a piece of paper underneath, and another map. And on this one, I made it also into a little tuck with stenciling on it. I'll just put it to the side. So, and then on the next page, I have this darling little couple here. It just reminded me of young couples that are starting on their own and trying to just make it in life and figure life out. So I've stenciled on my coffee paper, and I've just tried to keep it kind of simple. I've got a little dyed tag here that I also put stenciling on. This is a tea that I drink every morning, but just the simplicity of it. And then here's a little card with a verse on it. It's the prayer of Jabez. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It says, Jabez cried out to the Lord of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, that I will be free from pain." And God granted his request. 2 Chronicles 4:12 or 10. So this just reminds me of that time period of just figuring out life, when life is simple, and just remembering to be thankful. So my daughter, she's newly married, so it kind of reminds me of her too. Well, newly married, it's been 5 years. So, and then here's my last page. It's a piece of the music, and I just put some little stamps there and another little bit of the braille along the edge. And that's the end of the book. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm really happy to just start writing with it and purposely living intentionally and loving intentionally. So I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.